and
So
then every day going back and then repeating that or
right.
needing your medication. Like it was just, it's draining on the everyday person.
You are now listening to the number one
You
podcast.
have been digital interrupted.
Mr. I am digital.
It's crazy. Like now I'm gonna probably jump into the next question that a lot of people don't normally ask, but like I said, I like to ask the toughest questions ever. Just cause I need the toughest answers ever. Cause I have to hear it.
That's cool.
Medications. Just talk about the meds. First off, are you still taking meds?
Yeah, I'm still on medication.
Now, when this first started, about how many medications were you taking on top of getting chemo already? Not supplements or vitamins, medications.
Um, I was on about four medications and then like two pain medications. So I was taking about six.
Okay,
And
so
each
six.
month it was about $250 for medication with my insurance.
Gotcha. And how many pills are you taking per day? You could say.
I well after chemo, I think it was about like 12
Because
a
I was gonna say,
day.
I know you take, sometimes you take multiple like a day, like you have to take multiples in a
Yeah,
day.
like
So
so I
okay.
believe it was about 12 a day.
So you already have a hard time moving. You have a hard time breathing. You have a hard time doing anything. Now you have to multiply take pills in a day. So now you have to constantly keep picking up stuff to put it in your mouth. You
Yeah,
have to swallow stuff, you know, and I'm pretty sure, like you said, you're already sick to your stomach. You don't want to swallow nothing. Like you,
right.
so was water your best friend or was it your best enemy?
Gatorade, blue
Gatorade was your best.
Gatorade.
Okay. That was your
I
was that your new
that
that's your favorite flavor?
It was just the taste that I
Okay.
could stand.
Gotcha.
Now, after transplant, I drink water. Water is my best
Right.
friend.
Exactly.
But I didn't like the taste of Gatorade. Could not drink milk. I mean, no water. The
Right.
only Gatorade I liked was the blue flavor.
Okay.
That's the only thing I could keep down. I
Right.
didn't like ginger ale. I didn't like iced tea. I
Right.
didn't like anything except for blue Gatorade. That's all I drank.
Now, was anything with carbonation hard to drink? Because I know you said you didn't like ginger ale, so like no
Yeah, I
carbonation drinks or nothing.
no
Okay.
nothing. I couldn't keep anything down.
Now I know a lot of people have like their if and like they're back and forth about Gatorade because they say the sodium level is high. So you know a lot of people are gonna ask, well,
Yeah,
how did you survive off of Gatorade? It's so high in sodium. Like explain what it made you feel like because some people just think of
right.
what they read on bottles.
So my oncologist explained it to me like this. When you're craving something, even
Mhm.
pregnant women, when you crave something, that's what your body needs.
Okay.
So sometimes I would randomly crave avocados.
Okay.
And then in my blood work, it would show that I needed magnesium. So I was craving that for a reason. So my sodium actually was super low after chemo. So that's why the Gatorade it's what my body needed.
Okay. See, and there you go for the folks that are sitting there wondering, like, you can't survive off of Gatorade,
Right.
but you
But
can.
my
But
body needed it.
right, so that's what it called for, and
Yeah.
that's what you gave it. All right, see, there we. I have to break that lining right there because people always have an opinion about this Gator. I don't know. It's like maybe I'll do a podcast on like the pros and cons of
No,
Gatorade because
I understand it a lot. Sometimes it's high in sodium and it's not the best thing for you.
right,
Then some people are like, oh, it is electrolytes, but that's how my oncologist explained it. Because like randomly, I would crave even now after transplant. We'll get to that,
hmm
but like I crave certain things, and he's like, you're craving it because that's what your body needs, and
right,
that's why you have cravings. So your body's telling you what you need.
right. All right, and so we're past the first, phase of there's no cancer.
Right.
How long did this go on? Well, how many? Let's go back and let's repeat those
Okay.
numbers again. How many surgeries you've had?
Well, I had 7 brain surgeries prior to the cancer, but
Okay, so this is
I
before,
had
this is before all the cancer.
yeah, that was before I was even diagnosed.
Okay, and then you have the cancer. Now, how many procedures you have after the cancer, if any?
Well, I had 4 consolidation therapies. So I was in the
Okay.
hospital for 1 week and received a low dose chemo
Okay,
just to make sure that the cancer didn't come back.
got you. Okay. Um, I know people are gonna probably watching this, but you said something that's a massive number. 7 brain surgeries.
Yeah.
You know, sorry everybody that's like, watching this. 'Cause I know you guys are like, we said we was gonna talk about cancer. I'm sorry, hold on. I have to go. That's a big number, yeah. This is a big number. All right, so
Yeah.
7 brain surgeries.
Yeah, so I was born with a cyst on my cerebellum, and your cerebellum is speech, walking, talking, balance,
Okay.
everything.
Gotcha.
So when I was 8 years old, I had my first surgery. They had a stent in there to drain the fluid because I had excess fluid. I've hydrocephalus, so there's a lot of fluid on my brain.
Right.
Kind of like if you get into a car accident and you hit your head, sometimes
right.
your brain swells.
Right.
Well,
right.
mine does that for the hell of it.
Right.
Lucky
It's
me.
crazy. What?
Right. So I get like headaches and
Bananas.
stuff.
Right,
So,
right,
but
right.
so I have a shunt. My senior year of high school, 2006, I mean, I was having headaches, going to doctors, getting MRIs. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. But I was like, something's wrong. I'm having headaches. So they did an exploratory brain surgery and found my cyst actually ruptured when they cut it open because it was so big. The
Right.
stent got clogged, but there was no test to test if it was clogged.
Right. Right.
So they did exploratory brain surgery, tied the shunt in through like the 4th ventricle of my brain, which messed my eyes up. You'll see it sometimes crossing.
Right.
That's from the brain surgery. I live
Gotcha.
with it. I have double vision for the rest of my life, whatever. I don't care. But that didn't work. And then 6 months later, I had to have another one. So I had one in 1996, one in 2006, one in 2007, 2 in 2008 because they put a shunt in and it drained too much fluid. So I had to go back. They had to replace everything and put another shunt in. I was good for a few years. Then 2011, I was having really bad headaches again and stomach pain. So then I went to John Hopkins, the best neurosurgeon in the country, #1. Saw him. He replaced everything, but went through my jugular
Right.
and heart.
Right.
Then I was fine. I was good. Then when I got pregnant in 2013, the shunt was in my heart, and when you're pregnant, your heart beats more. You know,
Exactly. Right. Right.
so it was scraping the right atrium of my heart, the shunt. So then, while I was 16 weeks pregnant, they shortened it. They pulled it up, shaved my hair right here, and then shortened it, cut it, and then reattached it. And then my son was fine. I, had surgery while I was pregnant. That was scary, but he was fine. I came out fine. I did surgery with no pain medication, just Tylenol because I was pregnant. And he came out fine. He was born Christmas Eve. He, 40 weeks. That was my due date. He was born. Everything was fine. And then 3 years later, I was diagnosed with cancer.
Well, I'm like, hold on, because I think I'm probably like other people right now. Hearing all these numbers and dates and surgeries, I'm like, my head hurts. Like, hearing that, I'm like, I can only imagine being a person there with it, and that's crazy. Like, what? Like, so you was here? I feel like you were born here to like show people that fighting is possible.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, like that. That's probably like your purpose. Like you're here to inspire people to just keep fighting, whoever it is that you may come across, to keep fighting. And that's dope. But like, I mean, Jesus Christ, like it's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of pain that you have to think of a person that has to endure all of these operations on their body. Your body's not designed to be cut open. but
Right.
so many times. You know what I mean? So the fact that you gotta sit here and deal with that, then you're a mom. And you're an expected mom at that point. And I know a lot of moms who've probably been told that they've had diabetes. Just was it is it gestation?
Yeah, when they get
When
pregnant.
you get pregnant, you have the diabetes, or a pregnancy can kill you, and it's crazy to hear that somebody had a whole surgery that has to deal with the brain, the heart, all in one.
Yeah.
It's a lot, it's a lot. And I know a lot of people that's going to be watching this is going to kind of be like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
and um and then you said how many months later was the cancer?
It was no, it was 3 years. So my son
Years
was
later. Okay.
born. Yeah, it was
Okay.
my son was born in 2013, Christmas Eve.
Right,
So it was
right,
like right before 2014, and then
right.
in 2017 I was diagnosed with cancer.
That's crazy. Now, all right. So now let's jump back.
Okay.
We beat the first time.
Yeah. So
Now,
then
yeah, go
So
ahead.
I did the 33 days, then
Yep.
I came home,
Yep.
and then every 2 months I would have a consolidation therapy.
Yep. We talked about that. Yep.
So I was 7 days. And then after that 7 days, I would go home and then start every other day going back to the hospital
Mhm.
until I was good. And then I waited 3 days. And then I would go every 3 days to the hospital.
Right,
Then I
right,
went
right.
every 5 days to the hospital.
Okay.
Then it was once a week. Then it was like, okay, you're good. We'll do another chemo. So it was like nonstop for
That's
a
crazy.
while.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, now how many months or years later did it that you said you mentioned you relapsed?
Yeah. So February 14th, 2018 was my last consolidation therapy. And the doctor said, I think you could say you're in remission. I think we're good.
Right.
When I was first diagnosed, they found a gene mutation
Okay.
called TP53. Everyone is born with cancer cells in their body.
Right.
When you get the flu, sometimes you get blood work done and it might show a blast cell. That's your immune system fighting off the bad germs,
Right.
which everyone has. The TP53 gene mutation that everyone has in my body was messed up and it causes cancer. So because my gene had a mutation in it, it's a cancer causing gene. And then we did blood work, and my grandmother has it, my mom has it. I think my aunt who passed, she had Ewing sarcoma, she has it. My sister who had brain cancer doesn't have it, so they believe that's environmental,
Right.
which is a whole nother story. But yeah, so I have a gene mutation. So knowing that, the doctor said, we're going to have to closely monitor you to see what's going on. In the summer, I believe it was August, one day, we were on my stepdad's boat and my tooth was bothering me. And all of a sudden, it just started like getting big. It was huge. And I was like, I'm in pain. I got to go to the hospital. Not thinking, oh, I might be relapsing with cancer.
Right.
I just went to my local emergency room to see what was going on.
Right.
So I did that, and they did blood work, and they saw a blast cell. So they immediately called the oncologist and was like, I don't know what's going on. I think she needs to see you.
Okay.
So that's what we did. And the oncologist was like, let's do a bone marrow biopsy to see if it's just your body fighting off the infection because the tooth was an abscess,
Okay.
or if it is cancer. So I went and I had a bone marrow biopsy, and they showed blast cells. The cancer came back, and I found out on September 11th. My son started school on the 7th, so it was like his third day in school. And the doctor called, and he said, "Yeah, you relapsed. It's cancer."
All right. So where are you at when you get these news?
My son had just gotten on the school bus, and the doctor called. I was sitting on my front porch, and I just started crying.
Thought process, if any, at this moment.
My thought process was, I don't want to do this again.
And because and now at this point, you've been out of remission how long? Because it didn't seem like it was a long time.
So it was like 6 months.
And now you have to do everything you did prior.
Right. Well,
And
that's what I thought.
right. And then you
So,
okay, so go ahead.
yeah. So he gave me a week
Okay.
to talk to my son, to get things in order. I did my will, just because it was a relapse, and he basically said, you have a 10% chance of living through this.
Crazy.
That's what I was told.
Crazy.
So I made my will, which no one wants to do,
Right.
but I was young. So it was like, what do I want for my burial? What do I want for the rest of my life? What do I want for my son? Who do I want him to be in his life? Like needing to have everything ready just in case. I mean, it was hard. It was horrible. I felt like I had a week to plan everything, what I wanted, if I did die, what my assets go to what, making sure Isaac was okay, making sure he would still be with my family, making sure what I wanted with my stuff would be done. I mean, nobody wants to do that, but
Right.
as a 30-year-old, like I thought I had the rest of my life, and then everything was just like, I don't know, I felt like an elephant was sitting on top of me, and I was devastated. I cried all the time. At that time when I learned I relapsed, I did think I was like, this was it.
It's so bananas though to even just be at that age to even think, and I'm pretty sure it's not just at those moments when you're getting these news that you're like, damn, but you're thinking about everything that you've been through at that point, prior to that, what leads up to that moment, and then as a lot of people would say, "Phew, brain surgeries, they probably wouldn't even think they will live through that.
Right.
And the fact that you get through 7 of those, you get through a whole process of this one moment. Now you're going through this first cancer, you get to the remission part. Now it's a relapse. I know a lot of people at that point, they're just like, look, if it's my time to go at this point, hey, look, this must be it. Like this must be a sign or a calling that I gotta go. You know what I mean? Like I might have missed the bus on purpose a couple of times before that, but now, hey, listen, this might be my time. But you didn't because you're still here. So,
No.
so obviously the fight in you went off again at that point because you don't seem like the person to give up at all. Like you seem
Yeah.
pessimistic about like, listen, I'm not going nowhere, people. Like, so what now? I know you said the process was a little different from the first time.
Yeah. So
What's that process?
So September 11th, I was told.
Right.
He gave me a week to talk to Isaac,
Right.
get all my affairs in order,
Right.
and get ready, because it wasn't like, it was only one blast cell, but you could have like one like percentage. So it was like a really low percentage.
Right.
So he wasn't really worried about a week, but he really wanted to like start all over again and make sure
Right.
this time we eradicate it.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the doctors. We talked about, having chemo. But then he said, you need to have a stem cell transplant also. So I went in knowing I was getting I had 3 different chemos. It was called MEC. MEC, 3 different chemos,
Okay.
and it was like twice as strong as my first round.
Okay.
So it was worse on my body because from the moment I started getting it, I was sick.
Right.
And again, I was in a hospital for like 30 days because they clear out your body, they give you chemo, and then you can't leave the hospital until you build a little bit of an immune system up.
Right.
Because obviously the world is filled with germs.
Right. And then the stem cell.
Right. So
Talk about the stem cell a little bit. Like, let's explain to people that are not educated on that, because I'm
Right.
kind of like ignorant to that as well a little bit. So tell me, like, what is this process like? For those who don't know, I'm a volunteer EMT, so I've gone through the medical books a little bit, so I've seen a little bit of things here and there, but stem cells, like surgeries and procedures, is something that obviously we don't learn because we don't perform these things.
right.
So, what is it about stem cells? Like, what is the stem cells transplants?
You are now listening to the number one podcast.
You have been digitally interrupted.
Mr. I